All right, so y'all have heard me and probably every other football fan whose knowledge of the game is anywhere past man throw ball, man catch ball, run score touchdown, yay, say that line play in the league is worse than white people's potato salad. Like, I don't even like potato salad, honestly, but seriously, what the F do y'all be doing? Anyway, it's real easy to just pull some numbers from PFF and parrot a few points from YouTube comment sections and act like you know ball. I mean, that's basically how Stephen A. Smith keeps his day job.
Let me say this, y'all. The question is, are the Ravens getting their money's worth on Lamar Jackson?
No.
The answer is no. The answer is no.
Lamar Jackson has to make sure, because we all know he's worth his money because he's box office. You walk through the turnstiles to see him. So I don't know what this debate was about whether or not he's worth his money. Of course he's worth his money.
Playing both sides, shit that I don't like.
But the question we need to ask is, how do you make it all the way to the tippy-toppiest tier of your profession and not know what the hell you're doing?
Playing both sides, shit that I don't like.
Depending on the level of competition we're talking about, on top of there being a bunch of pre-snap assignments you got to remember, you also got to know what front you're actually looking at, because depending on what substitution package the D uses, it pretty much completely changes what they're probably going to do on that play, depending on what you saw in film study. This is why y'all see the center a lot of times having his back turned to the huddle so that he can call out subs when they're being made. Then usually it's the center who identifies the mic, who is not always necessarily a linebacker. It's just the name that the O uses for the nearest threat to the play side A gap, because that's the guy who the whole blocking scheme is going to get cued off of, and that's how the line and the tight ends and the backs know who they're actually going to block. Then you're reading how the defender is actually lined up in your gap so you don't wind up blocking him into the play by accident. And then on top of that, you're still communicating with the whole line during the play to make sure the thing runs smoothly. More than any other position group on the field, the O-line has to operate as one cohesive unit. This is why communication and repetition is so important, and why if just one of the starting five goes down, it could F up the whole operation worse than farting on the first date. And this doesn't even get into the actual mechanics of blocking, like hand placement, kick stepping, and understanding how to use leverage to your advantage. Like, it's basically just quarterback, but without the ball or the baddies. What I'm saying is line play is a lot like sumo. There's a lot more that goes into it than just big men slapping their meat against each other over and over again until one of them passes out from exhaustion or forgets his own last name. But a lot of y'all don't know that because, fat man fall down and make funny. But again, you wouldn't know that watching 3/4 of the lines in the league. Reason being, they just don't know what they're doing, honestly. Now, you can always just blame spread and RPO schemes like your barber did the last time you got a lineup before walking it back 2 weeks later.
Playing both sides, shit that I don't like.
And not gonna lie, that is part of it. Like, think about it. Your quarterback is already lined up like 5 to 7 yards in the backfield before the ball is even snapped. And the whole point of spread is to get the ball out and in space as quick as possible. So you're only going to have to hold that block for like a second or two anyway before the rep is over. Part of why that vaunted Dolphins offense is so potent in the first place is because Tua gets the ball out faster than Future out of visitation. And the whole point of RPO is to give you the option to either run or pass, depending on the read. That said, college coaches aren't paid to pipeline prospects to the pros, even if that is basically the entirety of every SEC coach's recruiting pitch. They get paid to win games. And the reality of football is 9 times out of 10, good players in a mid to average scheme are going to beat a great scheme with mid to average players. I'm sorry, y'all. Little Giants lied to us. So let me ask you this question. If you were, say, Nick Saban or Kirby Smart or somebody, Why would you invest a bunch of time, effort, and energy that you could be using on game planning and schemes for that week into teaching a slightly above averagely athletic kid the nuances of their position when you can just invite this guy to the facility, flash that championship ring in his face a couple times, and then draft the baddest co-eds on campus to show him the best titty bar in town? The problem is, once that guy makes a name for himself bullying a bunch of future CPAs and IT specialists every Saturday for 4 years, then he's got to go to a league where everybody was the bully. And that's when this happens. But again, it's real easy to bitch about somebody else not doing your job for you. That's basically how being the president works. Okay, so I know there's an argument out there that the CBA limiting the amount of padded practices you can have in a week is a culprit, and that's not true. But again, line play is as much about technicality as it is physicality. You don't need full pads to get quality reps in, or else the entire league would be nothing but abysmal O-line play. But it isn't. So what happens when, and hear me out, you actually invest in developing the most important position group on your team to keep your $200 million quarterback upright in those running lanes wide open?
In my laptop, Jeff Stoutland, University.
Yeah, in my not so humble opinion, Jeff Stoutland is the single most important position coach in the entire league, and probably the best coach in the league, period, if we gonna keep it a buck. Stout not only coordinates the Eagles' run game, but he's the main reason why I say the prospects don't suck. The coaches do. The biggest reason, in my opinion, why prospects bust out of the league isn't a lack of talent. It's a lack of development. And more times than we'd like to admit, that's on coaching. Just don't tell Stephen A. that, or else he might have to backtrack that Kwame Brown slander further than his own hairline.
Playing both sides, shit that I don't like.
Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, a 32-year-old Evan Mathis, all late round or undrafted players who all became Pro Bowl and or all pro players only after enrolling in the Stoutland University. Not to mention Lane Johnson, the best tackle regardless of position in the game since at least 2017. Landon Dickerson, another Pro Bowler, and of course the Samoan sex machine himself, Jordan Mailata, who literally never played a snap of organized football until he got to the league. But the wildest thing about it all is that there is no secret sauce made of ketchup, mayonnaise, and a little bit of Dijon and chopped up dill pickle that makes Philly's O-line the unstoppable force it is. It's literally just reps and memorization. On top of drilling his guys so hard on the playbook that by Saturday they know their assignments better than the back of their own ball sacks, the Eagles' O-line will practice the same play over and over and over again until it becomes more natural than breathing. That is the secret behind the tush push. On top of having a QB that can squat a damn cow, the Eagles have run this play so many times in practice that it's practically automatic by the time they get on the game day field. Yeah, it may just look like a bunch of dudes trying to see who can dig their way to China the fastest, but the execution required by everyone to pull this off so well and so consistently takes literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reps. Just like an orgy. So in conclusion, if you want better linemen, then make the ones you got better instead of relying on college coaches to moonlight as your scouting department. And if you want to stop the tush push, then shut up, pad up, get in formation, and execute over and over and over again until you can guarantee that the next time you see it, you won't just collapse under the weight of all of those bodies like you did before.
Get on down there. Let's get on down there.
Just like an orgy.